What's up, you guys? It's Royce Jacob, and welcome back to the channel. Riot Platforms has just surprised us with their Q1 earnings report, so I figured I'd sit down with you guys, go over some of the key numbers from this report, and also discuss the market's initial reaction to some of these, what I believe are impressive numbers that Riot has just released. Apparently, there are some investors who don't think so, but I want to reiterate my bull thesis over the course of this video and of course dive into the charts and talk to you guys about my technical reasons that I believe Riot will see continued upside along with Bitcoin as well, because of course Bitcoin will dictate the price action of Riot, at least in terms of general direction to some extent. So we'll kick it off with Bitcoin on the charts, move on to Riot Platforms, and call it a day. Okay, you guys? So before we go over some of these numbers, if you want to know how I'm trading Riot on a day-to-day basis, because I pretty much talk about Riot every single day in the newsletter, but hey, if you want to know how I'm trading Coinbase, if you want to know how I'm trading some of our other players like Matterport and Guardant Health, as of today was our major winner in the portfolio, then that's the first link in the description. Complete portfolio, daily newsletter. You can choose whichever pricing plan you want, but more on that a little later. For now, let's cover the OG and talk about some of these numbers. Again, I thought this report was extremely impressive, and although price action, was a little shaky in after hours, I do think this will ultimately be a positive catalyst for the stock. And I do want to talk about, quickly discuss a little later on, the macro reasons. So the macroeconomic fundamentals that I believe will drive the entirety of the markets higher as well. Due to some data that we just got in this morning, at least at the time of recording. Riot reports first quarter 2023 financial results. The drill. Riot reports 73.2 million in total revenue and new all-time records in 2,115 Bitcoin produced and hash rate capacity of 10.5 exahash. Quotes, this is from their CEO. Riot achieved a number of important milestones and records during the first quarter of 2023, said Jason Less, CEO of Riot. In spite of damage to our immersion buildings F and G during severe winter storms in Texas in late 2022, we successfully reached new all-time highs for miner deployment, total hash rate capacity, and monthly Bitcoin production. Our teams are also nearing completion of the final build-out and deployment of miners at our Rockdale facility and have been working to further enhance operation efficiency. Riot's vertically integrated strategy has once again positioned us during this quarter as an industry leader in low-cost, large-scale Bitcoin mining. And I continue to be excited to work with our team to achieve Riot's vision of becoming the leading Bitcoin-driven infrastructure platform. Okay, so I know I've said this before, but I want to say it again because I do still get some questions about other miners. You guys, a lot of you who have been around for the past few years would know this. We used to talk about other like Marathon Digital, Bitfarms, Bit Digital, BTBT. We used to cover all the miners back in the heyday. But over the years, and this applies to other facets of my portfolio as well, I've learned to hone in on specific sectors or subsectors of the market. In this case, subsectors in the sense that I still hold Coinbase and Riot Platforms. Those are both cryptocurrency plays, but subsectors in the sense that, Coinbase is a crypto exchange, Riot is a Bitcoin miner. So as far as the subsector of Bitcoin miners go, I've decided that, in my opinion, Riot is the best company. In my opinion, and that's in my opinion, that's not necessarily even an opinion that I feel like factually Riot is the best company of the bunch. And that's why I've chosen to hone in, not worry about the other players, and just focus on what I believe is the best company of the bunch. So, shout out to Riot. Anyway, let's go over some of these. We're not going to go over the 4 paragraphs I've highlighted here. Are the only metrics that we're going to go over. If you guys are investors in Riot, if you guys are trading Riot, if you guys are bullish on Riot, I recommend you go over it. I mean, you don't have to read the whole thing realistically. If you want to, do whatever you want. But these are the only paragraphs that I want to read over for the sake of keeping this video timely, and then we'll discuss price action. Okay, so total revenue of 73.2 mil for the 3-month period as compared to 79.8 mil for the same 3-month period in 2022. Now, Obviously, that's a year-over-year decrease, but as they say here, the decrease was primarily driven by lower Bitcoin prices. So obvious, which averaged 22K or 23K this year, a decrease of 44% compared to 41 or 42K in the same three-month period a year ago. Okay, so I think we all know that. That's obvious. But this is what's important, okay? Produced 2,115 Bitcoin during this 3-month period compared to 1,405 Bitcoin a year ago. So that's the real important metric. It's not necessarily the revenue this quarter relative to last quarter or this prior quarter relative to last year's prior quarter. It's the fact that they've mined more Bitcoin. If you guys believe in Bitcoin, I assume you do. If you're watching this video, you probably believe in Riot as well. Then you believe in the fact that Bitcoin over the course of the long run will continue to go up. So when it comes to Riot's bottom line, what really matters in the longer run, or even the medium to long term run, because Bitcoin, in my opinion, is shaping up pretty well right now. All that matters is the fact that they're mining more Bitcoin. And as you can see here, I mean, they mined, relative to last year, pretty much 50% more Bitcoin. When you're going from 1,400 to 2,100, it's like, yeah, they mined exactly 50% more Bitcoin than they did in the quarter a year ago. So that's amazing. That's what you want to see, and that displays growth, okay? Regardless of what the price of Bitcoin is, they are mining more Bitcoin, and that's what matters as a Bitcoin miner, at least in terms of scaling operations as a Bitcoin miner. Average cost to mine Bitcoin, this is great as well for the 3-month period, was $10,300 relative to last year was $13,500. So they're becoming more efficient in their Bitcoin mining as well. Also green flag. Maintained industry-leading financial position. 254 pretty much mil in working capital, including 160 million cash on hand. I'm just going to round up here, and excluding 25 million cash restricted, 29.5. Just had to round up, I didn't, and $202 million in Bitcoin unaudited, all of which were produced by the company's self-mining operations as of March 31st, 2023. So again, you guys, Riot is scaling their operations. They're mining more Bitcoin, again, 50% more Bitcoin than they did last year, expanding operations, and they're looking good, you guys. Riot, if you haven't watched, I don't know if I recommended this yet. I know I recommended it in the newsletter, but if you haven't watched Peter McCormick, he's the host of What Bitcoin Did. Peter McCormick went and visited Riot. They have a massive operation, but he went and visited their headquarters, their mine, whatever you want to call it, in Texas. And that's an amazing video. So go check that out on YouTube. You can do it right now if you want. But hey, right now we're going to talk some price action. So Bitcoin. In the past, let's zoom in here real quick so you can see what happened. Today's price action was crazy. We fell 5%. Pull up a quick price range here. In the span of, like 20 minutes, we fell just over 5%, which was, if you watch that this morning, it's like, what the heck is going on? Considering following that CPI report that we'll discuss right after this was pretty shocking. But right now, Bitcoin is making a comeback at the time of recording this video. We're looking pretty good. And, again, all things considered, considering I'm bullish on the macro backdrop, I'm feeling good about Bitcoin. So I just wanted to, kind of establish that ground thesis prior to zooming out here. So let's take a look at 4 hours and talk about where I think Bitcoin's heading. So right now, what happened this morning is the fact that Bitcoin, once again, following that CPI report, saw a nice jump up in price action, broke this line of shorter term resistance that's been in play, for the past weekish, just under a week, broke above that, struggled, technically closed above it, but struggled. And right now we're floating directly on top of it. So again, price action shaky. This is a little sketchy. It's not necessarily looking the best, I'd say, but given my overall macro bullish sentiment, I do think that ultimately over the next 2 to 3 trading sessions, I'll just say by the weekend, I do think that we make our way up to test this line of medium-term resistance right here that has been in place since April 13th. Touch point, creating the line of resistance that every trader who trades Bitcoin is looking at. I do think that we make our way up there. I'll just say by the weekend, just plain safe, by Sunday. So that leaves us to, 6, maybe 7% of upside. Given my bullish sentiment, I keep saying that, but that's a big factor in the way I trade and the way I view the short to medium term. I'm feeling bullish following this CPI report that came in cooler than expected. That's a great sign. That shows the Fed It doesn't guarantee the fact that the Fed's going to ease up, but it makes it way more damn likely the Fed does ease up in their next meetings, in the next FOMC meeting. So that's good news for the markets overall. That's good news for growth assets especially. And of course, that's good news for Bitcoin and Riot. So again, by the weekend, I do think Bitcoin makes its way up to test the line of resistance. If Bitcoin is able to break above this line of resistance, then I think it'll be a pretty quick climb up to this next target range that I have. New 2023 highs is the main thing. But if we do break this line of resistance, as always, you guys go into TradingView, draw these stick figure lines for yourselves because they do work. And if you don't think so, then you just haven't been in the markets long enough. If we do break above this line of resistance, I think it'll be a pretty clean shot up to, I'll just say $32,000 plus by next week. If we can see that on the B-Day, that'd be sick. May 19th, I'll call for a $32,000 Bitcoin. Obviously, I can't guarantee anything, but again, I'm bullish on the short to medium term. I think we see some pretty meaningful moves up over the coming week or so. And that applies to Riot as well. Running back again, very, very, somewhat boring price action in after hours because as you can see, I don't have Disney up here, but Disney just announced earnings. So Disney's shares are stumbling right now. The fact that Riot is holding up decently well, as there are some other players in the markets doing poorly, that's a good sign. And that does parlay also into a line that I want to read down here from my newsletter earlier that plays into why I'm just really bullish on growth stocks and small caps specifically. Okay. But first, again, we'll talk a little bit of macro to close out the video. Right now, Riot blockchain looking good. As of this morning, Riot has seen, I don't know if haven't recorded a whole lot of videos, but if we just zoom out here, this is crazy. And this is like the most, you could almost say like textbook volatile, or I guess textbook volatile, like, because over the past few weeks, like dating back to, like April, like late April, Riot has been trading in a straight up lightning bolt formation. Like, it's crazy watching this. I mean, I'm sure many of you have been through the emotional roller coaster, especially with call options that Riot has, Riot has taken us on over the past couple of weeks. But, as of today, Riot has broken and closed above the line of resistance on this range. If you want to get real technical, this yellow line right here, you want to get real technical, this is the line of resistance right here. We have technically closed above it. I do think that further upside is likelier than not, given, again, my bullish sentiment around Bitcoin, around the equity markets overall, around the NASDAQ, etc. I do think that we see another wave up here, given, again, this is an impressive earnings report. I don't think anyone will necessarily be disappointed in this earnings report. I could be wrong, but I was personally impressed. And although obviously I'm biased for Riot, I'm still try my best to keep things pretty objective. So I think this is a good earnings report. I do think that Riot will see another wave up, especially because I think Bitcoin will as well. And I do think that Riot, I'll say that my money is on the fact that Riot will see $17 by early to mid-June if it follows just this general trajectory that it's been on since the rally we kicked off in early March. Okay, so that's Riot, you guys. Always remember, this is just my opinion, but my money is on it. And again, if you want to know exactly where my money is, that's the first link down below. Complete breakdown, personal portfolio, and how I trade it every single day. You get the Trade Alert newsletter. You get the Price Targets newsletter. For example, today, Price Targets, where we cover a bunch of charts, updated price targets in real time. Today we covered the NASDAQ to keep it macro. Also covered the CPI data that came in. And, just to preface once again, my bull argument from a base perspective. We covered good old C3, Garden Health, because they crushed it today. Garden is looking super promising right now. Coinbase, Riot, and good old render token. So if you guys want my multiple newsletters every day, if you want to know how I'm trading on a daily basis, $15 a month, $40 for every 3 months. Try it free for a week, and if you don't like it, just peace out. But I trust you guys will stick around. That's why I have the free trial option, and I look forward to seeing you guys in Waves Capital. So again, that's the first link in the description box if you do want to join. If not, no worries at all. It's your loss. Right. We just finished our coverage there. Let's talk about the macro. So again, we had a feeling the April CPI print would come in cool, and thankfully we were right. So as you can see here, the CPI rose 4.9% in April, which was under the estimate of 5% and still lowering, which is good. Inflation has weakened for 10 consecutive months from its peak in June of 2022. And that's good news, you guys. Again, inflation going down encourages the Fed, or just gives the Fed some validation that them obnoxiously raising interest rates has worked, and it'll stop them from freaking raising interest rates any higher. So let's hope that this does encourage the Fed to finally pause and, it signals a potential reversal on the horizon, because if that happens at the next FOMC meetings, the markets will rip. So I just want to read over this. Don't want to go over any price action as far as the Nasdaq is concerned, but the macro backdrop is looking promising, and I'm pumped for the days ahead of us. Tech stocks and small caps outperform legacy stocks today, and this is what we love to see. We've seen this trend come and go over the course of the year, but I believe it's getting stickier and stickier, and I think this trend will be amplified over the course of the summer. And if you've been if you've been trading with us, you know that this is a trend that is extremely beneficial, extremely potentially lucrative. I say potentially there just to play it safe. Lucrative for Waves Capital. And dude, I'm pumped for what the summer months have in store for us. So again, I look forward to trading with you guys. I look forward to the days, weeks, months ahead of us. And as always, I'll talk to you downstairs in the comments about whatever you want to talk about. Until next time, always remember, take action, make waves. Peace.